Hello, Henning, and thanks a lot for finding time to sit with me and record the Refashion podcast episode.
Hello, thank you. The same. I hope you have a good morning.
Today, we are talking with Henning, the founder of CEO of Repamera, the online tailor and clothes repair shop in Sweden. Henning, tell us a bit about Repamera. What was the idea behind? How did you start?
I'm Henning. I'm 28 years old, and I am from the countryside in Sweden. So I grew up with sheep around me and animals and no limits and no rules. When I went to gymnasium, I studied to become an electrician, but then I started to sell insurances instead. Then I studied product design down in Malmö, and along the way I was about to meet or to visit the tailor in Malmö, right where I live, because I had two broken shirts, and I thought to myself that I want to use them again. And when I was planning to go to the tailor, I thought, like, you can order food to your door. Shouldn't you be able to order tailor services to your door, or online at least? And then that night, it was 4 years ago, in January 2017, I did a market research and I came up with the idea of Repamera, which is simply an e-commerce for repairing clothes, and also like changing dimensions, like shorten your pants or the arms of your shirt or something. Alteration. And the day after I did that market research, I started to bike around in Malmö and I got my first customers. And since then, it's been growing and evolved day by day. And now we have a national collaboration with H&M, and we have repaired like 25,000 pieces of clothes so far.
Wow, these are shocking numbers.
Yeah,
From two shirts of yours to 25,000 clothes for a lot of different people.
yeah,
I really like how you revoked this whole idea of repairing and tailoring your clothes. It used to be just a regular business model for ages. There would be physical shops where you would go and get your clothes fixed, and you put another spin on it. And I really like that you came up with this idea.
Hmm. Why do
Um,
you like it?
I like it because it sounds so convenient. You don't need to spend time going and to the tailor, finding a time slot, then going back to pick it up again, hoping you will be there within the opening hours. So I think it brings it closer, and it's in a much more dynamic way that you can get
Yeah,
your clothes fixed.
yeah. And exactly what you're talking about now what's like bothering you is the same as what's bothering the tailor shop owner, because what takes time from them is to take care of customers instead of just sewing and like repairing and alterate as many pieces of clothes as possible. They have to each 10 minutes take care of a customer and then interrupt themselves and so on. So if you think of like IKEA, the big revolution they did was that they had flat packages, and they told their customers to um, assembly their furniture by themselves. And that was like revolutionary, because then they saved time in production and they could have lower prices, and therefore more customers came to them and they accepted the fact that they had to assemble themselves in their own apartment or villa. And the same thing with us, we tell the customers, like, you specify what you want to do before you ship it to us. Before you ship your clothes to us, you mark and you tell us what to do, like fix fix the shirt here and here on the elbow, fix the pants on the knee, and the jacket is on the back, and I want to make the arms 5 centimeters shorter. So when we receive it, the like time demanding thing is already done, similar to like what IKEA is getting around. We're getting around the whole gathering information from the customer part, and therefore we can have lower prices and we can focus more on like material production efficiency and so on. So yeah.
Absolutely. How experienced should the customer be to order your service? Sometimes people would not have a clue that if they want the sleeve to be 5 centimeters shorter, what they actually need is 4 centimeters or 3 centimeters because material will shrink, or maybe they measured themselves inaccurately. So I would like to ask you about the challenges in general when it comes to customers' demands, and how do you get around them?
I think everything around business is about making it effortless for the customer, and the more effortless, the more business you will have probably. And so it's as easy as building a IKEA furniture to use our service. The easiest way is if you have a template, like a piece of clothing at your home that fits you perfectly. Then you just mark that template and send it together with the piece of clothes you want to adapt, and we take the exact measurements from them.
That indeed sounds much easier. And if you can send it with a template, then you yourself can evaluate the differences in the material and maybe adjust.
Yes.
So, how did it all roll out? How did you get your first customers?
I wrote on Facebook.
That's
Hi.
awesome.
So first I wrote like, hi. First I came up with the idea, I think it was a Tuesday. And I did a market research, like a market survey that I sent out to friends and groups and chats and so on. And I got like 50 answers within an hour. And I said to myself, like, I will go to bed when I have 100 answers. And within a few hours, like around 11, 12 at midnight, I had 500 answers. And I simply asked the question, do you have damaged clothes at home that you want to use again? And out of those 500, 80% said yes. So 80%, 400 out of 500 had broken clothes at home right there and then that they wanted to use again. So, and then the day after when I woke up, I was like, this is something. So I just wrote on my Facebook, like, thanks for helping me out yesterday. Today I start picking up clothes in Malmö. Does anyone have broken clothes that they want to repair? And then I biked around. I got my first customer, and I found a tailor to collaborate with. And then I just biked around back and forth to the tailor, picked up, and yeah.
This is crazy. When I think about it, it's just one man's effort and purely just getting on the bike and cycling around the city and getting the personal contact with the people who have the damaged clothes. Um, is this the same tailor that you are working with today, or is it different tailor?
No, I'm not working with that tailor today. I've been around. I've been meeting others, and now I have my own employees. And one of them is actually worked at the first tailor I collaborated with. He was employed there back then, and now he's employed here. So, yeah, in a way, I work with that tailor. In a way.
You took the expertise and brought it to your team.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. So, how fast and how big did your company grow since that one man's effort with the bike to where you are today?
4 years. Today, it's 4 years since I started. Um, and the growth has been like slowly but steady. Like I had much more energy 2017 and 2018 to really market it and like go out there, be in Stockholm on like events and public speaking and creative ideas of marketing and so on. I did a lot of things 2017, 2018 with almost no result the first 1.5 year. And then at the end of 2018, the orders started to increase quite dramatically. And I called like big companies. I emailed the CEO of H&M. I, I, I got invited to a meeting by H&M. And I called around to like big brands of construction companies and so on. But the results started to come to like the payback started to come. I started to receive the payback around the second half of 2019. And now the companies call me, so now we have too much to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so in the beginning a lot of work, no payback, and now it's less work and more payback. So
That's great. And how many of you guys are working as tailors in Repamera?
there is one employed tailor, and then I have two tailors that are renting space in my workshop here.
Mm-hmm.
So they have machines and material, and they have their own business. And then they have employees that help them out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to have local tailors around in Malmö, but it doesn't really work because the logistics between, and it's difficult to like tell someone who has their own shop that they have to improve, like quality wise, and then it becomes small conflicts all the time because they're having their own business to not to be the boss of their own. So the feedback is much easier when they use our place here. So we're 3 tailors plus they have some employees every now and then.
Mm-hmm. And just so that we would understand better, are you only handling personal customers' orders, or do you have some orders with B2B clients, some industrial?
Yeah, we take care both of individuals and private persons, both from Sweden and a few from Denmark. And we are releasing our Danish website now in February, actually. It's translated finally. So, and then we have customers from all over Sweden. And then we have B2B customers like fashion brands that we take care of the claims, like Houdini Sportswear. They send many of their claims to us, and we repair it and ship it back to the customer. And then we have construction companies and fashion brands that has like we can start with fashion brands like production folks. So say that it is like, what can it be? Last year it was 15,000 pants, and it was an error from the production. That damage had to be fixed so they could sell the product. And this company has, before when it has happened, they have shipped it back to China, and the factory has created a new product line, or what you say. But this time they could ship it to Malmö, and we repaired all the 15,000 pants, and then they could sell it in store. So then we have like claims from say construction companies that send working clothes to us, and so we have many different types of customers. The thing is, when you talk about like target group, you can have like a brand that sells color to hair. It's quite a niche. Like, okay, it's only for people that has hair. Not everybody has hair. Like people that are above 60 doesn't have hair, so they're out of the game. And it's only like for people who have more than 20 centimeter hair, because people with short hair usually don't change the color of their hair, or what it might be. And then if it's like wild colors like orange or yellow, then it's even more niche. Like, okay, maybe it's only people from 25 to 30 that will actually use it, or 20 to 30. But the thing with clothes is that we don't sell any specific type of clothes. We repair any type of clothes. So our target group is anyone who has clothes, because clothes will always be used, almost always. And yeah.
No, that's true. But you mentioned that in the beginning, it was a lot of effort and not really a lot of results. And only in 2019, the payback started to come. So I was wondering if you could identify any particular event that happened in relation to your company, or was there like a massive change in how people behave and how they think?
Like we're herd animals. We copy each other. And I read quite early in that like PayPal started out with some like recommend your friend and get, I don't know, free transactions or some voucher to buy something for, when they started like year 2000. And I read that Spotify copied that when they started. So they had invitations only in the beginning. And so the only way to get a Spotify account was to get invited by a friend. And I started to use that way of thinking quite early. And I found different ways, both digital, like when you put an order, you get this automatic, like tell a friend that you used our service, and both get 100 krona discount or something. And then I send out emails to everyone to put a review on Google and Facebook. And I really followed up on every customer. And we package each customer with like this silk, purple or orange silk band around, wrap it around. And then we have a thank you note. So every tailor signs like, thanks for using our service. And then they sign with their name. And on the back side of that is like, you can cut it in half and give to 2 friends, and they get discount. And all those, like, what can I say? All those efforts and ideas started to reach a critical point. In the beginning of 2019, and it really started to like, so everyone started to like tell their friends and like educate their friends about how good, look how good the result was from Repamera. Look how good it was. And people like showed their bums to each other because their jeans was repaired. And when everyone is showing their bum to their friends around Sweden, and because they want to show how nicely repaired their favorite pair of jeans are, then it becomes this exponential growth, and it goes quite fast when it starts. So I would say that is one factor, and the other factor, I think like the Greta effect.
Mhm.
I think that has something to do with it, that like companies started to really adapt it as well. That Greta became so widely known, and it became like, yeah, everyone talked about it during 2019 within businesses as well. So before that, like sustainability and circularity. Circularity has been just a word, but now it's more, people understand that it's about waste. And I think that understanding reached the general public about circularity 2019. Yeah.
I think, first of all, this personal touch was a very nice effort that you did. And I think that is definitely a crucial step to do, especially in the beginning of starting your own business. And then that whole awareness and buzz about sustainability, circularity, that picked up. Of course, I myself, I only got to know about circular economy around 2018, and I could see also those topics coming up more and more in 2019 and the years to follow. And I think it's definitely has something to do with educating people. And yet, on the other hand, we still have a mass of people who don't really care about their clothes that much, for starting with the quality of those clothes that they buy, and then leading to decision whether they should fix them or not. What would you say is your general observation of the trends?
My general observation is that circularity is between um, linear economic growth as we know it and complete sustainability and buy nothing. So I say that circular consumption is right in between those two. So it's this German philosopher Thomas Hegel. Have you heard of Hegel?
I actually haven't heard of him.
Yeah, right. He talked about thesis and antithesis.
Mm-hmm.
So first you have a thesis about something like economic growth within a linear economy. And then you have an antithesis to that. When that becomes too extreme, you get an antithesis, which is like no consumption at all, sustainability, complete sustainability, buy nothing, fly nothing, eat only vegan, stay at home. It becomes too extreme as well. So then Thomas Hegel, like 150 years ago, he believed everything goes from thesis to antithesis and then to synthesis or a synthesis. So we can say Donald Trump, Greta Thunberg, and me. No.
Of course. I think that completes the picture very well. But yeah, jokes aside, I think I get what you're saying is that we went from one extreme to another extreme, and now we have to find the sweet spot where we start understanding, okay, one extreme is not good and neither the other. Now we are also forced to be at home, buy nothing because we don't need to. We are forced to like revise our wardrobes and use more clothes that we have instead of going to stores and buying things. And that's also like driving people to an extreme psychologically. And it's also inevitable that we will not buy anything at all. So where is this sweet spot? How do people realize that?
In my opinion, the sweet spot is circular consumption. Like the antithesis team about sustainability says, like plastic is the problem, and the linear economic growth team says, fuck you, we want to produce as much plastic as we want because we have to increase the growth of our like invested money and our factories and so on. And they are like playing ping pong with each other. But the problem is neither, because the problem is the plastic waste.
Yeah.
Plastic is a good material, you can do almost anything with it. But the problem is that the waste is everywhere.
It is, definitely.
Circularity is about taking waste and create resources out of that waste, creating value from waste. And if you want to earn money, you can start a circular business, like you take plastic, you ship it into your factory, and you produce a product out of it. You decrease like the impact of the environment, and you earn your money. That's circular economy. And if you're a sustainability fan, or what to say, you can work for that company and go out on a boat and pick up plastics in the ocean for that capitalist, and that you earlier said that you hated. And then together you ship the plastic to his or her factory, and you design new products, and everyone helps each other. And there we have the synthesis.
Of course. You know, it's a very good illustration of how the system works and where it is right now. But I would challenge you here, saying that we should also start rethinking how do we do products in the first place. Because once the first cycle is over, what can we do next with the plastic that we just reused and put it in another product? Can it come back to the system? And if it at some point, if it breaks and it cannot, then on one hand, of course, we utilize it as max as we could, but on the other hand, it still ends up as a waste.
Yeah,
So I would definitely say that the example that you drew is crucial. That's mm, probably the first step in the transition. But I would like to see more alternative materials, alternative biodegradable or renewable materials coming in and replacing the oil-based plastic, for example.
yeah, I agree. So the first step, in my opinion, would to take care of the plastic waste. But now what's happening instead is that people create new products to replace plastic. But the problem will remain. We will still have oceans filled with plastic because no one has, because we wanted to replace it with something new. And then when we find out that what we replaced it with is also bad for, I don't know, the lungs in our bodies, we have to replace it with something new. And therefore, in my head right now, I want to take focus on circularity, which means start to use what's already produced around the world, stop the printing presses for a while. We don't have to produce new material. We have to reuse what's already been like dragged out from the earth. And it's loads of it we can use before we produce.
Definitely. I think we have already extracted valuable resources, and scientists say that also we are exceeding on some of the planetary boundaries. So it means that we will deplete some of those non-renewable resources. So we have to now start extracting them from the products that we already have. And another example would be mobile phones and the metals used there. And I know that there are companies taking the phones back and then trying to take the metal away and making into a new product with it. It could be, again, a phone, or it could be a jewelry, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
But talking about the fashion industry, and we are dealing now with the fashion waste, there's also a huge challenges that the recycling facilities are facing in terms of fashion recycling. What would you identify as the main challenges?
I would say the taxation of employment in Sweden and Denmark. So we could say it's a lot of factors, but at the end of the day, we have the material here in Sweden. We have lots of resources like textile waste, both in Sweden and in Denmark. And we have lots of people interested in reuse, in sewing, in redesign, in upcycling. So why can't they create a business that challenge like the fast fashion industry? Because it's easier and it's cheaper to have a production line in Asia, ship it here, sell it here, and throw it away as waste than it is to create a business in Sweden where people actually can take your shirt and my shirt and we combine it to a new piece of clothing. I believe there is at least 50 people in Copenhagen and Malmö that would do quite nice and unique products that are okay in price. But the more we lower the taxation of like payment of wages, the cheaper the redesign and upcycling would be, and that would decrease the waste a lot.
And do you think that should be then particular exemption for that industry, or do you talk about wage taxation in general?
I think it in general, because the thing is every taxation is always hitting on the customer. At the end of the day, the one who pays the tax is the customer, and the Mother Earth is paying as well. So when it's too expensive to employ in Sweden, we will ship it from the other side of the world. Why? Because it's cheaper. Why is it cheaper? Because they have less regulations. Why do they have less regulations? Because okay, regulations is one thing, like good employment rules is regulations, but taxation of wages is what I'm criticizing. So I shouldn't mix it up. But yeah.
So just to clarify, what you're saying is that the labor conditions should be secured and people should be given proper labor conditions. They should be paid accordingly so that they could have a living wage at least. But then there should be a side of taxation where the customer wouldn't feel the impact on that.
Yeah, so one example is that circular business models, in my opinion, this is an idea, I haven't structured it up yet, but circular business models is mainly about time. So if you have a rental company that rents out clothes, you have to wash them, you have to prepare them, package them, and market them. And then customers come in, they rent, and they leave, and then they come back and leave it. That will always be more expensive than to have a factory in Bangladesh, ship it here, sell it. Because you don't have to take care of all the processes. So in that opinion, like in Sweden now, if you earn 100 krona, the company pays 200 krona. So you can say that the taxation is double. One idea, or if you repair something, that's also time. You need someone employed to do it. So it's not the material the customer pays for, it's the time of the employee. And when it comes to, as a rental is time, rental services, which is circular. Repair services is time, which is also circular. And the second hand, it's the same thing. You have to first gather it in, receive it, structure it, sort it out, and then like create some data and labels and hang it up. And when all this is done, the pricing is the same as the fast fashion companies, because it's so many steps of working time to do it. And then you go into a second-hand store, 200 krona for a shirt, and you go into H&M, 200 krona for a shirt. Why? Because of the taxation on label. So one idea is that if you have like a licensed by the government licensed circular business model, you have 0% in taxation on labor, which means that if you earn 100 krona, it only costs the company 100 krona to employ that person, not 200 krona. What do you think about that?
I think that should definitely come into effect, especially if we want to encourage the circular economy and circular businesses. I think I'm totally on the same page with you, because the t-shirt or the shirt and secondhand shouldn't cost as much as the new one in H&M or whatever other brand, or in the first place the shirt in H&M shouldn't cost 200 crowns, which is also a bit like, the chicken or the egg, a kind of question.
Yeah,
should
because
should should the clothes cost really be that cheap, in some cases?
in my opinion, yes, it should be, because we accepted the rules of globalism, and it makes the countries and a lot of people, it's better than the alternative to have no production in Asia, for instance. So their economies has grown thanks to fast fashion. So I don't think to punish them. I think the thing is that why should H&M start a repair shop in Sweden? There's no economic incentive for it.
It is very expensive. The labor is just too expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So the only kind of companies that becomes rich right now, or not the only, most of the companies the last 10 years or 15 years is simply tech companies. And tech companies don't have any employees. They have a platform, they have some engineers or programmers, and then it's about everyone is like, yeah, when you use like eBay or when you use dba.denblåavin.dk, you and me as individuals do all the work for that
Right.
platform.
Right.
So we work for free for that platform and they earn money because they have the tech platform. But they don't have to pay taxation on our labor.
That's true. Yes. It's a complex system, but I would just definitely agree with you on the part that if we want to encourage circular businesses and more innovation, we definitely have to at least change taxation and give some exemptions for particular types of businesses so that they could kickstart. And I was just wondering, from also your experience or observation, are people willing to fix their clothes? Because you identified like 80% of the respondents had damaged clothes, but how many of them actually thought about fixing them or purposefully looked for someone who could fix them?
Yes, people want to fix and people do fix. I believe people do fix more and more, and we have more returning customers every year, and we have more new customers every year as well. So it increases every year. One thing back to the last discussion, 2017 in January, 15 days before I started my business, the Swedish government lowered the taxation from 25% to 12% on repair of clothes, which makes me able to earn 13% more if I had the same prices as 2016 or whatever, or earlier. So that's a good thing, but I think that it should be 0% taxation of repairing clothes because people already paid tax when they bought the clothes. So, and back again to your question, about, yeah, people do repair and it increases. And I believe that people will always do what's most efficient. So when we talk about economic growth, it's really about efficiency, right? So if you can either walk to the north of Copenhagen, buy a product and walk back, it will take you a whole day. Say a piece of furniture. You walk to the northern parts of Copenhagen, and you walk all the way back, like you did in the 1950s. Now you can just click like on an e-commerce, and I want home delivery, and you pay like, say you pay 200 krona for the home delivery. This means that you can, instead of taking that time as you did for 50 years ago, you can work the whole day instead, and you will earn yourself like 1,000 Danish krona, but you only pay 200 krona in a home delivery.
Yeah.
So you created an economic growth for yourself on 800 krona, and that company that focused on home delivery earned 200 krona.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with repairing clothes. Like, as long as we continue to make it more efficient to repair, not only efficient in low prices, but efficient in how simple it is. Like, you can use a template, your favorite piece of clothing. You don't have to stand in line at the tailor shop. You don't have to worry about opening hours. The more things we make it more efficient and simplifying, the more people, regardless of how we market, the more people will use our service. Because everything in the universe goes the way with least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Electricity, water, whatever you take, everything follows that same the law of least resistance. And the same with repairing clothes. You have your favorite jacket, it's a repair. You can either go and find a new one. It will take 10 hours, 5 hours, I don't know. And a lot of effort, and you have to like prioritize away other things. Or you can click on a button and you receive a bag home, stuff down your favorite jacket. It comes here, we repair it, ship it back. And there is the efficiency, which creates economic growth for us, just the same way as the home delivery. And you don't have to take those 5 hours or 10 hours to find a new jacket.
I totally follow you on that. I think I would much rather fix my own favorite pieces rather than spend time, go look for something else, and maybe I won't even find something that I uh, like or something that fits me, even if I like something.
Yeah.
So I totally follow you on that, and I think a lot of the times the piece in itself, it's wearable. It's just one part that needs to be fixed. Either it's armpits or some elbows or like a huge hole somewhere else in on the garment. And then talking about this whole process. So how long does it take for a person from the time he or she clicks the button until she or she gets back the item
Um,
home?
from that we have received it here, you will have it back in Denmark or Sweden within 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ship it from you, it takes a few days here. First you order, you receive a bag to your mailbox, go to PostNord, hand it in. So like 14 days in total.
Mm-hmm. And then it then sounds that your service takes around 7 to 10 days, something like that.
One more time.
Your service of fixing the clothes, that is around 7 days within that
7 to 10. Yeah.
7 to 10.
We
Mm-hmm.
promise within 10 days you have it back for pickup again.
I see. And tell me a bit more about the packaging and the whole logistics of that. What is the idea behind it, that you get the bag? Do you then reuse it again?
Yeah, since the beginning, I decided that we only use one bag for every customer. So we fold the bag as a letter, small letter. So you receive it to your mailbox, you unfold it and stuff down your like favorite jacket or piece of pants or jeans or whatever. And you go to PostNord, ship it here. Our tailors open it, do the job, and we always use the same bag. And we actually repair bags if they're like have a small damage. We repair them with tape and fix it, so we always reuse the same. And since we've been doing that from the beginning, we have become really fast and efficient on every tailor is really like efficient on reusing bags. And because of this, we saved like 10,000 pieces of unnecessary production of new plastic bags.
Mm-hmm.
And then you might say, oh, you use plastic bags. Yes, we do. The reason is that it's it's cheaper than paper and it's more secure for your clothes. And it's
Because
made out of recycled plastic. So
uh-huh. Because plastic in itself, as we discussed, it's a very good material. It is waterproof. It is resistant to some scratches and things like that. So, but yeah, then you use a recycled plastic, which is a step further, I think. If it was an ideal scenario, and we are talking about globalized world where Repamera is sending packages in whole Sweden, Denmark, maybe other Nordic countries. So in your ideal scenario, what would be the logistics partners, the green logistics partners that you would choose?
I want to take away the word green logistics
Mhm.
partners. But the logistics partners is the ones who does it most efficient. So if you have one scenario, if you have two different logistic partners, like we open up for a Polish website and a German website, and everything ships here to us in Malmö, and we ship it back to Poland and Germany, we can do that. It's like the same distance as all of Sweden. So Sweden is long, and yeah. If we have two different scenarios, one shipping company, which like DHL, they have 10 euro back and forth. And then we have this new startup which is focusing on, I don't know, they call it sustainable shipping or something. And they cost 30 euro. The thing is, less people will repair clothes if we start to use them because they do something a little more extra than DHL does. So in my opinion, sustainability right now is only about making stuff more efficient, like sustainable e-commerce, sustainable logistics. Everything is about efficiency, and it's always been about that to do business. So sustainability is just talking about Donald Trump, Greta Thunberg. It's the same coin. They're talking about the same thing. But he does it because of money, and she does it because of care for Mother Earth. But they both want to do the same thing.
Yes, because they both go hand in hand. When we talk about sustainability, it's people, planet, profit. And when we ensure the well being of people, they will be more productive in their workplaces, so they will produce more. And if we produce more, then we have economies of scale, which cuts the costs. Uh, but the problem here, I think, is overproduction, which comes into the equation that it becomes so much cheaper to produce more and then deal with the waste afterwards rather than planning or producing less and then you pay more per item to produce.
Overproduction of new material, because what you said, waste is the problem. So if we overproduce, our production is repairing clothes. Is that good?
I don't see repairing as overproduction. I think more in terms of fashion brands which produce thousands of garments which eventually end up in the landfill. But they
Okay, but
produce it in such big quantities because it's cheaper for them economically.
if a fashion company does a collection only made of recycled textile and they overproduce, is that
Mhm.
bad?
I think so.
Why?
Because if there is a quantity which was not sold, what do we do with that?
Yeah, but no, that
Can
didn't
it
answer the
be
question.
recycled again? Can it, or will it go to waste, to landfill?
Okay, Adidas has this like ocean cleanup shoe, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is if they overproduce, like they clean up the whole Atlantic Ocean and create too many shoes,
Mm-hmm.
is that bad?
I think the overproduction part is still bad because then this plastic could have gone to another piece which would have been uh, sold out, for example. So if they cleaned the ocean with from the plastic, that's great. First step, amazing. That has to be done. Second step, that they use it in the shoe. Okay, shoe maybe is better than clothing like a shirt or socks because the shoes you rub them on the ground, but with the shirts you wash them in the washing machine and the plastic goes back to the ocean, but it goes with like microfibers which you cannot catch. So
No.
you return it back and it's even worse. So, and then if we have 100,000 Adidas sneakers of those overproduced, they will end up in the landfill or staying there in a warehouse when this recycled plastic from the ocean could have been used for something else that people would have grabbed and used and then put it
I
back in this.
agree. I agree. I wanted to challenge the simpleness of saying overproduction is the problem,
Uh-huh.
because as you say now, it's not maybe the problem, in my opinion, is the waste, as you say, and the waste is not, you don't know about the waste until after you try to sell something.
Mm-hmm.
Like a company that overproduces, they didn't mean to, they didn't want it to overproduce, they wanted to sell everything they produced,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely.
So
Or in
maybe
some
everyone should become better salesmen, so we sell everything that.
That's true. That's true. Um, I just think that maybe in some cases, when the companies have such big power, they can order bigger quantities and get economies of scale, so a smaller price for per item. So it's cheaper for them to overproduce, even though they know in the beginning, hoping maybe they will sell it. That's great. But if they don't, and they don't have to pay for that overproduction part, and they don't have to pay for the waste or something, then it becomes a problem. Because if they only overproduce because of the economic advantage, but I might be wrong in this logic as well.
Yeah, you are, because if you plan to overproduce because you want to keep the costs down, then you mean that the discount has to be exceeding the over amount, and you can never get as much discount. So if you plan to sell 1,000 pieces of jackets, but you say, hey, let's produce 2,000, and if we don't sell them, we still earn as much. You don't, because you maybe you got 10% discount for doubling up the volume, but then 500 of them didn't sell, so you still made a loss. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone wants to overproduce, and I never think, but I think the reason is because it's really cheap when you start to produce something. The first the first 100 takes the longest time, and then exponential growth, like exponential efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could be. And why do you want to make it? Why do you want to make 1,000? One reason there again is taxation. because you don't have any taxation on the machines. You have the taxation on planning and like designing, planning, and starting up a process. But when the process is up and running, it don't cost anything because it's only machines. So the first 100 is what actually costs in labor and planning and like brain power. And brain power is what we tax. Yeah, the
Yeah.
government is taking our brain power. And therefore, when you have a plan for 100, you can say, okay, let's make 1,000 and try to sell 900 extra. And here comes, yeah, good discussion. I start to get new thoughts of it. I agree that overproduction is a problem. I don't know if the problem is, I don't think the problem is that someone doesn't, I don't think anyone wants to overproduce. Do you think that?
I don't really know exactly. I will just say that. Intention, probably not really intentionally. I think every company definitely targets to uh, equal the supply and demand, because of course then they pay for warehouses and they pay for storage space, and it costs a lot, especially in the biggest markets.
Mm.
So it is definitely extra charges for that. But I don't really know if it's possible to implement production on demand in the big brands. So it would be, the overproduction would be avoided, and supply and demand would be met, let's say 80%.
Yeah, but say, I still think the problem is the same. If every company right now switches to production on demand tomorrow, like every company,
Mm-hmm.
cars, shoes, clothes, the problem will still be the same, that we use only 9% of all the material in the world is circulated material. 91% still are raw material from Mother Earth. So regardless if you have production on demand or just producing on your own prognose, analyzing like your customer behavior, 90% of everything will still be demanding from Mother Earth, like a lot of resources. Like cotton, one piece of pants is like 10,000 liters of drinking water, or not drinking, but seawater. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, so I think we have to, again, circularity, use what's already been produced, take care of the waste, and create waste into products.
Definitely, definitely. Um, I was thinking, since this Corona crisis hit us as individuals and the markets, have you had any effect by it as a small business, or do you think this global pandemic has any effect on global consumption behaviors?
Yeah, it hasn't affected us. Kind of nothing, actually. It didn't affect us. Um, it, I think it opened up the thinking of local production again and local like handling of repair and more smaller like ecosystems like the Baltic countries, the Nordic countries, Germany, Poland, how much competence is there really in between those countries instead of using, yeah, like shipping from Asia and producing in Asia. So I think I see the world as hourglass, yeah. So it goes from one way, like one thesis to an antithesis, thesis, antithesis. And I think Corona was the super edge of globalism as we know it. And now we will go into localism,
Mm-hmm.
and then we will go out to globalism, back and forth like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life is always back and forth, up and down. Do you have any plans of expansion? So now you talked about going to Denmark, having deliveries from there and to there. What about other markets?
Denmark is the first, yes. And now in February, and we already have customers from there. And now in February, Repamera.dk is released. And it's mainly because it's close to our shop here in Malmö, our workshop, and that you have PostNord in Denmark,
Mm-hmm.
the same shipping as we have here.
Yeah.
The next step, I would say, will be Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Like Berlin is like all of Denmark's population in one city, and it's the same distance to Berlin as it is to Stockholm.
Which
So
is a
yeah.
fun fact. I wouldn't know, but
No, no, it's weird. Sweden is really
it's big.
yeah.
It's long. And you had a strong collaboration with H&M. You have already mentioned the repair initiative. Like, would it make sense for H&M to do such things? You also had a talk with CEO. So, what was the outcome, and how would you describe your partnership with them?
Our partnership is as simple as it can be. So it started out with just they gave discounts to all their members on repairing clothes, not only H&M clothes, any brand. So they open up a new like discussion internally by their staff and externally by their customers. And we receive quite a lot orders through that. Like they just market our business to make it easy. And now in December, in every H&M store in Sweden, you can go in and take a Repamera bag with instructions and shipping label and everything. Go home and ship in your clothes. And it works good. So it's not with H&M, it's with H&M's customer base more specifically.
Oh, but that's awesome because that's the biggest fast fashion brand. So they have a huge reach, and I'm very excited to hear that. And it's also like inspiring the young people because H&M is usually H&M's customer base is usually young people, and it's inspiring them and teaching them that they can treat their clothes better and definitely wear them longer.
Yeah,
Do you think they will also continue the initiative to Denmark and then maybe Germany?
I think so.
Okay, let's hope so then.
Yeah.
Our talk is coming to an end, but I have the last thing I would like to ask you to do, and I have 5 questions, and that's like a quick round. I would like to ask a question one by one, and you will just have to finish the sentence.
All right.
All right, let's get started.
Fun. I think
So the first statement is, to me, sustainability is
efficiency,
nice one. One thing I would like to see more of in the world is
proper individual thinking.
yay. So what do you mean? If you had to elaborate a little bit more on that, what would you say that entail?
Write, reflect, find your own unconscious spirit and integrate that in your conscious spirit and make decisions based on the wholeness of you not on the herd behavior as it is so easy to fall into. So proper individual reflection and thinking and behavior.
I totally support you on that, definitely. Third one. For a complete beginner in the sustainability area, I would suggest to start off with
Buy one thing secondhand and buy it from another private person, so you have to bargain. It's fun.
okay, that's an unexpected twist. Bargaining, okay. Do you think that's maybe one of the skills that we now try to like get away from? We forget about it.
No, I think one of the reasons people are buying as much, consuming as many new products is because it is quite socially awkward, and it demands more to knock on someone's door, like discussing the price, look at the product, and do a deal one-to-one, instead of like going to a fast fashion store and say, "Hi, I want this. Here you have the receipt, buy." It's really impersonal, and you don't need any proper individual thinking or behavior. But if you buy secondhand, DBA, denblåavin.dk, or something like that, or eBay or whatever, and you actually meet the person, you look them in the eyes, it's more than just buying a product. It's a experience, and you have to challenge yourself as well.
That's
So
a
I would
very good
say the
one.
first step, yeah, buy one thing this year, meet someone, look them in the eye, bargain, try it.
And then go to Repamera's Instagram page and leave a comment that you did that and tell about your experience, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So we encourage that. Let's move on to the next question, and that is every sustainable business.
Oh, this one I really would like to tear down.
Yeah.
Every sustainable business is not actually sustainable. So stop using the word sustainable. That's my answer.
And that
We're not
goes
sustainable. What? Sorry.
and that goes to the proper individual thinking, where you ask yourself, like, are we sustainable? Am I sustainable? Right?
Yeah, what does the word sustainability, the ability to sustain, what does that mean? Repamera is demanding a lot of shipping. If we didn't have shipping, people would drive their cars to our shop instead. We can't be sustainable. We can't offer anything that is good for Mother Earth. But we can offer something that is circular. We can repair clothes. Just like a bike shop repair bikes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the second you say that you are a sustainable business, I think it's like saying, I'm Jesus. I reached God.
I follow you. I follow you. Because I have also thought about this quite a lot, and I was thinking to myself, like, yes, when you say sustainable, that's sustainable for the profit of the company, sustainable for the environment of resources, and sustainable for the people that you operate for and operate with, the employees and the society. And that leads me to thinking that as long as we will live on the planet Earth, we will be consuming things. So what we can do is just to do less bad.
Yes.
And that's what we are aiming to do. Because if all things remaining the same, we will be degrading on a much steeper curve, if we didn't do any efforts like fixing our clothes or thinking of alternative materials or thinking things like that, then we will end up deteriorating the planet that we live on much faster. But if we bring in some efforts into the system, into the capitalistic system that we are in, we can at least prolong the time and we can win time to think of other ideas. Who knows? Like the technology and research advances so fast. So,
True. And in my opinion, capitalism is just a tool to make something more efficient.
mm-hmm.
So capitalism focused on producing new clothes becomes H&M, Zara, Uniqlo, and super efficient brands. Production efficient, sales efficient, marketing, everything is super efficient, shipping, logistics, everything. Capitalism focused on repair or reusing will be super good for the environment compared to what we have now. So I would say sustainable business is actually circular business,
That's
or
a nice
should be a
conclusion.
circular business.
Should be. And then the last one is in 2 to 3 years, I see Repamera.
Not connected to me as an individual.
Please
Ugh.
explain.
So in the beginning, it was really fun that I was in I was the brand. I built up the brand, and I was recognized for the brand. But at the end of the day, I want away the burden of my shoulders. I wanted to work without me
Mm-hmm.
automatically, so I can, yeah, be in Denmark and taking a walk in Copenhagen.
Yeah. So I hope you will manage to do that, and I guess one of the ways is by expanding your brand, having a stronger team, uh, and setting up the organization that it would function as an individual unit. Henning, is there anything else you would like to mention that we didn't cover, or would you like to give our listeners a key takeaway from what we talked?
I would like to hear more about you. So how come of everyone you could interview, why did you want to do this interview? And I would like to hear fully. I don't want to hear because I heard of you. How did you resonate? What does Repamera and everything mean to you?
It's a really good question, and thanks a lot for asking me this. I come from a family which was in and still is in a small Lithuanian town. So I come from the Baltic country. And we in my family, we were very sustainable in a sense that we would think through the purchasing decisions. We would purchase secondhand clothes just because the quality of items was much better. And I could renew my wardrobe much faster this way as well. But what was special about my family was that my dad would repair electronics and my mom would fix and repair clothes for me. I had my grandma who would also knit and fix some of the clothes. She would really put them back into other usage, like an old T-shirt would become a table, like a dishcloth at some
Yeah.
point. So I came from this background, and I did my master's degree here in Copenhagen, where I got to know about circular business models. And I just thought to myself, wow, there are so many initiatives already here. If I
Mm.
know about them, why can't other 10 people know about it? So this should ripple. A lot of more people have to know about it. Why did I only get to know about this company now? Why is it somehow like doesn't reach me? So I really felt that I need to start up my own podcast and talk to the founders and individuals who are working towards putting the circularity in place, putting it out there for the people, working on initiatives. And when I started reaching out to people and telling about my project, some of them would recommend their immediate network, some would be recommending individuals and brands to keep in contact. And I got to know about you through a casual lunch talk with my friends. And my friend's boyfriend is Swedish, and if I'm not mistaken, he knows you in person.
You can send the name later.
Yes. And I thought to myself, and now I'm just kind of like repeating myself in the beginning, but I thought that it is a modern way of fixing your clothes. We are used to physical shops, physical tailor places where you have to like put an effort and go there and fix and have a contact. Versus now, when everything is moving online and moving digitally, all the services like Spotify, again, they reduced all the CDs and DVDs. They just put a streaming platform out there. So when I found out that this can also be done for your for fixing your clothes, and that contributes to the whole conscious behavior and sheds a light on how you can treat your clothes better, I really wanted to have an interview with you and listen and hear more of your experience. And I think our interview was very insightful. I definitely learned several new things, and I definitely got more insight into your company and how it all started and who are the customers, how do they interact.
Yeah, I'm really glad. I'm humbled to be on your show, and I'm grateful that you wanted me to talk here. And I think you're a really good interviewer, and especially the 5 last things, they were really fun. So, all right. So you took your simple way of living from Lithuania
Yes.
and brought it to Copenhagen to spread out.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Thank you so much, and thanks a lot for your time and sharing your knowledge. And it was my greatest pleasure to have you here with me.
Same. Thank you so much.